What's up, YouTube? Get excited. We're about to install over 2,000 square feet of decorative epoxy. Let's get this video started. This video is all about showing you how to install our epoxy floor kit number 34. We'll be going over how we prep this floor, including shot blasting, how to repair cracks. We didn't apply a primer. Instead, we did an epoxy seal coat, and we'll explain why in this video. We mixed over 50 gallons of epoxy, and we'll show you how you can tackle a project of this size too. And even if you have decades of experience, I can guarantee you're gonna learn something new. First thing we're gonna do is talk about everything we need to do to prep the concrete. So, room's 2,500 square feet. This floor had carpet tiles on it, so it had carpet glued down. I think the concrete was also sealed once it was poured with like a Kirin Seal solvent-based sealer. I can tell because it's kind of shiny. We have some saw cuts that have been filled prior to us, so when we shot blast, we'll probably be taking some of that material that they put in there out. We're gonna be hitting edges with the hand grinder. We got the shot blaster behind me. What we're doing, Trey's gonna go around, hit edges. Kyle's gonna run the shot blaster. We highly recommend shot blasting over diamond grinding. We'll just run the machines for a while, let you guys see it in action. Again, 2,500 square feet. We're gonna be doing our epoxy pigments on this in, I believe, dolphin gray and white highlights. That's kind of the game plan here. Kyle will finish shot blasting. Trey's gonna jump in, start hitting saw cuts, cleaning those out. Once those are all done, start hitting all these spots with the glue. So the biggest thing is getting this floor as clean as we can. All right, so now we're on the next step after prepping. So everything's really clean. And so the next step would be filling the saw cuts. And we're gonna show you our patcher paste, and we're also gonna show you our fast crack repair that dries really fast. So we'll show you both options. Okay, so the first one we're gonna go over is our crack repair. Now this is a fast set crack repair, right? Once we squirt this stuff out, it's gonna immediately start setting up. So before we start using this, what we wanna do is we need to put some type of barrier in the saw cut. There's a crack all along this, down inside there. And so we're gonna take silica sand and we're just gonna spread this in there. What this is gonna do is gonna stop the crack repair material from just soaking down in there and disappearing. And then we're just gonna fill this up. That's it, pretty simple. It's fast, right? And then this is gonna start to flash off on us here in about 10 minutes. Typically can grind it within about 15, 20 minutes. So I'll just go over how to mix the patcher paste. Kyle will jump in and mix it. Very simple. We have an A and we have a B. And so what we do is we put the part A in first into a 5-gallon bucket, scrape as much out as we can. Then we add the part B, scrape as much out as we can, and then we're gonna mix that for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. All right, so when we're putting this in the saw cuts, joints, maybe cracks, the biggest thing is we wanna make sure we're pushing it down multiple times until it's like squeezing out the sides. That means we got it filled all the way to the bottom. And so Trey's gonna go along and do that. And then, like I said, we always wanna fill above the joint. That way when we come and grind it, it's nice and flush. All right, so it's seal coat day. The reason we do seal coats is because outgassing occurs in concrete. Air releases from the concrete. We have a very porous concrete surface now, right? We shot blasted it, and now we've opened up all the pores in the concrete. And what happens when we do that is when we do an epoxy coating over it, it's gonna wanna release more air because the pores are open now. And so we wanna minimize that. And what that's gonna do, soak down into the concrete, seal up those pores, minimizing the amount of air and gas that can be released through the concrete that can create the outgassing bubbles, and that's the whole point of it. And so that's kind of the process here. So we're gonna do the seal coat today. Tomorrow we'll come in, do our decorative coat, and then the next day we'll come in and do our top coat. So like I said, 3-gallon kit we're gonna mix. I'm gonna take our notch squeegee that we cut the notches off of, because it's super rigid. I'm gonna spread it out real quick with this, and then Kyle's gonna take the metal scraper and he's gonna pull it as tight as he can, and then I'm just gonna cross roll the floor, and that's kind of the process for a seal coat. All right, so that's the seal coat, guys. Very simple, right? Doesn't take a lot of product. This is what it takes, right, to seal up all the pores in the cement after shot blasting. So the next thing I'm gonna go over is how to set up and just figure out what products go into what. And so what I wanna do is figure out how to split this room into sections. You never wanna coat an epoxy floor and try to put your base coat down on the whole floor and then go back and try to add your highlights and blend it, right? Once you start, by the time you get done and go back to try to add highlights, that first section is gonna be set up and sticky. It's never gonna look good. And so what we do is we always break up floors into sections so we can always have fresh product. We do a base coat on the first section, add our highlights, and then we move down the line. Second section, third section, fourth, however many you have. What we're gonna be doing on this job is we're gonna be mixing 2 3-gallon kits at a time. And so we're gonna have 6 gallons total per section. Now, maybe you wanted to do, maybe you have a smaller floor and you just wanna mix 3-gallon kits at a time. That's totally fine. So before I start taping off these walls, obviously this is a big squared up rectangle room. Now, you might have a project where you have hallways, bedrooms, right? It's almost impossible to just go down the line and split it up. So what you would do there is you would figure out, so if you're doing 6 gallons at a time like we are, you would go 6 times 45 square feet a gallon. That's how much coverage we want. Gives us 270 square feet. And so 6 gallons is gonna coat 270 square feet. So you would just need to map out your rooms or hallways into 270 square foot sections. If you're doing 3-gallon kits, right, at a time, you would do 3 gallons times 45, 135 square feet. We just want reference points to know, hey, when we mix up these 6 gallons, don't pour the beads out past our first section, whatever section we're on. Don't spread it past it, get it right around that tape line. And then we have these notch squeegees that we use too. These are designed to put the product down at exactly 45 square foot a gallon. And so again, using our notch squeegee, taping off your sections, you're always gonna have enough product. You're always gonna have it as thick as it should be. And now we're gonna go into setting up our mixing station, getting everything dialed to where when we start mixing, we don't stop. It's just a constant flow of mixing and pouring the product on the floor until we're finished with the project. So first thing you wanna do is you wanna have a big, either a tarp, big sheet of plastic. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start lining out our first buckets we're gonna be mixing into. And so what they're doing is, we know we need to make 9, right? We got 2 3-gallon kits for each section. We have 9 of these, and so they're gonna set out 9 buckets for each of them. All right, so you can see we got all of our buckets laid out, right? We got our 3-gallon kits laid out. We got our epoxy pigments on each 3-gallon kit, right? 3 gallons, 3-gallon kit. And so this is basically one of the buckets we're gonna mix 3-gallon kit with, has our pigment right there, has the 5-gallon stir stick. And so what we're doing right now is I'm just trying to make this as simple as I can for you guys. And so I printed out sections, right? So this is gonna be section 1. Boom. So this is our first section, which is our first tape line on the wall down there. This is gonna be section 2. Now what we can do is, we know we have product lined out, we have it lined out in sections, right? Makes it really simple. So now we can do our highlights. Now we can start setting out our highlights for each section. And so again, we have the highlight boxes here. For this specific design and look, we need to make, for each 3-gallon kit, we're gonna spread the base coat out, and then we're gonna add 24 ounces of highlights to that 3-gallon kit. Well, we're making 2 3-gallon kits for each section, right, to make this project go a little faster. And so we need to make 48 ounces of highlights. So what Trey's gonna do is he's gonna start setting out measuring containers. Okay, so we've mapped out all of our mixing containers for all of our highlights, right? We have 9 sections. So like I said, I'm gonna go over our 3P2 mixing process. So the first thing we're gonna do is, remember, we have our 2 gallons of Part A in here. We've already added our epoxy pigments. Now we're gonna add our gallon of Part B. Trey's again gonna simultaneously mix as I am. All right, so we got the hardener added. Now it's pretty much go time, right? Our clock started as far as working time goes, right? So we wanna move fast, get this mixed up, get it dumped out on the floor. That's gonna give us the maximum working time. So what 3P2 stands for, I'm gonna start at the top. I'm gonna spin it all the way down to the bottom. Once I hit the bottom, I'm gonna go around twice. I'm gonna keep spinning it all the way to the top. Once I hit the top, I'll kind of slow down. I'll go around the top once or twice. That stands for 1. So we're gonna do that 3 times. All right, so there's 3. I'm gonna spin the drill off. Set it down on our box that we're gonna move down the line so we're not getting epoxy everywhere. Now what we're gonna do, we did the 3, now we're gonna do the P part of the process, which is pour into our secondary container. Again, we have them labeled with the blue tape so we know we can reuse those. And then what I like to do is set this on one of the ribs. And then I'm gonna get in here, 5-gallon stir stick, and I'm gonna start scraping the back. So now we did the 3, we did the P, and now we're gonna go 2. We're gonna go up and down 2 more times, just like we did the 3, and then this is ready to go. So now that we're done mixed, first thing we want to do is get this out, dumped onto the floor as fast as we can. So again, right, we just mixed our first section. So blue tape, this is our first section. So we don't want to pour our beads past that blue tape. And so we're going to pour a bead around our perimeter, right? And then maybe 1 down the middle. Again, we have that notch squeegee, so this makes it really simple to spread this out. And so now all I have to do is hold this notch squeegee flat like this, and I'm gonna just start spreading it out. Again, I don't wanna go past our blue tape line. Okay, so that's how we do the base coat, right? And so now all we have to do is cross roll this. So I wanna have them start mixing up the highlights, right? So by the time we're done cross rolling, they can hand us the highlights, we can put it down. Once we start doing that, I'm gonna have them mix up the second section, which is here. Kyle can jump back, start doing the notch squeegee, spread out the base coat, and we'll just kind of continuously move down the line and do the same process on each section. So the biggest thing with highlights is pouring it all throughout the section you're doing, right? I don't want to sit here and pour really fat veins and then get halfway through and I have like 2 ounces of material left and I don't have any product to put on that section. So this is what I like to do. You can either dip a paint stick, drizzle it out, right? But since we have so much, I'm gonna just start small amounts. I can always go back and add to them. Well, what we can do is I can have them start mixing section 2, which is the next section. Kyle can start spreading that with the notch squeegee, and what I can do is start blending in the highlights, right, with the squeegee. All right, so once we're happy with the design, right, I went back, I made sure I couldn't see concrete through the epoxy. There's no thin spots. I'm happy with the design. I don't see any spots that just look like we drizzled out some color, right? It all looks pretty natural now, blended in. And so the next thing we want to do is disperse the surface and create some of the natural cells and effects that you get when you spritz it with 91% isopropyl. All right, guys, so you kind of saw the process, right? The last thing that we're gonna do is let the isopropyl evaporate. What I like to do is isopropyl the section, get the next section base coat, highlights added, and then mist denatured alcohol if we need to, right? The only reason we do that is if we see any micro bubbles, any air that's still trapped in the resin. We're just gonna continue the process and show you guys all the sections that we're doing until we're finished. All right, so we're pretty much done. Last thing I gotta do, disperse it, let that evaporate, mist it with denatured alcohol, and we're pretty much done. So we can clean the tools, notch squeegees. We throw away the rollers, denatured alcohol in a rag, get the majority off like a paper towel. You can use paper towels as well to clean it with the denatured alcohol. So we like to clean the tools so we can keep reusing those. And then obviously we wanna caution off doors, stuff like that, so no one walks in here. And then we're gonna come back tomorrow and we'll go over all the steps to apply the top coat. All right, so getting ready to apply our urethane top coat. I'm gonna go over mixing it. We're gonna go over how to spray it, how to roll it. We're gonna cover all the things that you need to know to have a successful install when you're applying our WB urethanes. On this floor, we're gonna be doing our gloss. We have our grit additive. The grit additive is gonna add durability, scratch resistance to the surface. And then we're gonna be spraying it out of a Chapin industrial concrete sprayer. These are the best sprayers you can use. And so obviously just for mixing, we need a 5-gallon bucket. Obviously our products, we need water because we are gonna be adding water to this mix. So when you're just dipping and rolling, it calls for 10% added water to the total amount you make. Well, we're gonna double that and add 20% because we're spraying it. Got my paddle mixer, drill, I got strainer. So I'm gonna dump the Part A's in first. Add some water into it. I like to pour over the bucket just in case I spill some. Recap it and then we'll shake it. That's gonna get it all out. Now we're gonna add our Part B's, do the same thing, right? We're gonna add a little water, shake them up once we drain them out. And so now I'm just gonna mix it for 3 to 5 minutes. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna strain it and then we're gonna add the grit, mix that in for about a minute, and then we're gonna be able to start spraying. All right, so that's how we mix it. And so we're gonna dump, again, we're not gonna fill it up all the way. We're gonna go about 2.5, 2 3/4 of a gallon. So what we wanna do first is charge it, obviously. And then what we're gonna do is test spray into the container right here, one of these. So now we're pretty much ready. So we'll have Alex spray. Trey can hit the edges with the 9-inch. I'll finish off the floor with the 18-inch. Obviously we don't have trim up, okay? And so if you had trim, like finished trim, painted, right, and you're going up to that or something, you would want to tape that off, put some paper up, a couple feet up the wall just to be safe. Obviously something like this we're not worried about. When he's spraying next to the wall, he's just gonna stay away a little bit, and then the 9-inch will get right next to the wall, and then my 18-inch will finish out the rest of the floor. And so we don't have to tape and mask nothing off. I'm gonna have Alex just run down this edge. So what he's gonna do is spray away from the wall, run down the edge a little, spray down the side wall about 3 or 4 feet, and that's all we wanna do for edges, right? And then when we get caught up with the main floor, all he has to do is spray down the edges 3 or 4 feet. And so again, we're kind of doing sections again, right? We don't want to just have someone go around, hit all the edges. By the time we get down there, the edges are going to be tacking up, and we're going to get there, hit them again, and it's going to be like 2 coats on the edges, and you're always gonna see that ridge. And so this is kind of how we do it. All right, so that's the process, guys. Hit our edges a couple feet, spray a pass, I roll it a couple times, finish it off with a final pass, trying to always look, make sure I don't have any thick edges, right? Try to feather those edges off, and then we just continue this same process until we're obviously finished.